Longevity seems to be a practice that many Americans want to emulate these days because living longer means that you can have an extended impact. The mega rich are doing everything they can to live past 100, and for everyday Americans, they are aspiring to look up to those who have experienced long life in order to increase their own individual lifespans. However, a new survey has revealed that Americans are no longer looking to simply live longer. They want to be healthier while doing it. A survey conducted by the Harris poll of 2,200 Americans on behalf of Medtronic and Morning Consult revealed that most Americans would prefer to live shorter, healthier lives rather than longer ones with health issues. 66% of those polled chose the former. Finally, 62% agree or partially agree that they were concerned about living with pain if they lived a longer life. And more than half believed if they lived longer, they would be a burden to their loved ones. As someone who is passionate about longevity and as a naturopathic practitioner, my friend Kimberly Verbeke specializes in helping people optimize their health through cutting-edge techniques that focus on Bio-regulators, IV therapy, and fitness. She empowers her clients to improve their overall well-being, enhance organ function, and slow the aging process while also increasing longevity. Her approach combines decades of clinical research with practical strategies that create individualized health plans that are key pillars of exercise, nutrition, fitness, diet, stress management, and more. And she joined me this week to tell me more. I'm Kevin McShann. Let's have this conversation. Absolutely. So, Kimberly, if you're ready, I'll take a moment to welcome you to the program, my friend. And I'm super excited to learn how to help people live longer lives, my friend. Great to see you, and happy Wednesday to you, my friend.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Now, Kimberly, I know your work centers around the importance of preserving longevity, and you help people live fabulous lives by valuing longevity and living healthier lives. So, I'm wondering if we can start our conversation by you telling me about your work and what makes you so fabulous, my friend.
Well, I started out in geriatrics. I worked in a nursing home for 3+ years. And I always tell people when you start out at end of life, it makes you really interested in how you don't end up there. And, how you can, it just made me terribly interested in how I could age well and have a high quality of life as I got older, because I don't think we were meant to have this just slow, terrible decline in old age. I think that our environment has created some issues for us, but I believe people are meant to be healthy and whole. And so it really got me interested in aging well. And it's a lot of fun to work with people as they're aging and help them maintain a high quality of life when they're in their golden years and retired and, hopefully enjoying some things that they didn't have time to enjoy when they were busy working or raising their families.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Kimberly, tell me, what do you think it means to successfully age gracefully? What does that mean to you?
Yeah, so I see that as really independence and feeling great as we age, right? I see, people that are in their people as young in their 60s, 70s and 80s just, they don't have good balance, or they're walking with a walker, or they're weak, they're frail, and that really impacts the quality of your life when you're frail. It makes it highly likely that you'll fall and break something, and that tends to be kind of a slow decline, slow, sad decline to death for so many older people, because they have sarcopenia, right? They don't have enough lean body mass to maintain healthy, strong bones. And so to me, aging gracefully is hanging on to our muscle mass, staying active. I always tell my older people, don't stop doing things, because when you stop doing things, you stop being able to do things, right? So don't
Mm-hmm.
stop jumping, don't stop running, don't stop, just movements that you do when you're younger. If you find that you're struggling to do those things, then figure out what you need to work on so that you keep the ability to be agile and well balanced and strong as you age.
Yeah, absolutely. Kimberly, I know that you have some cutting edge strategies that you use that are based in scientific evidence and also practicality as well, my friend. So let's dive deep on how you help people sort of embrace longevity and really value their health. What are your thoughts there, my friend?
So I went down a really deep rabbit hole at one point and discovered something called peptide bioregulators that have been used in Russia for over 40 years, as well as clinically studied over there. And the doctor that studied them, described them as retreading the tire for us. They repair our repair systems. And one of the hallmarks of aging is that we slow down metabolically. Not like a metabolism gain weight sort of thing, but our mitochondria don't work as well as we age. And so the goal is to keep all of the systems of our body working efficiently and effectively so that we don't get sick. We can fight off disease, our bodies can repair and recover. And one of the ways that I help people do that is with peptide bioregulators. And they're just simply short chains of amino acids have affinities for certain systems of the body, and they're able to cross over both the cellular and nuclear membrane and attach right to the DNA because they're so small. And that's kind of what makes them so, magical, is that they can easily get to where they need to go, and help our bodies repair so that we stay healthy and vibrant as we age.
Yeah, and one of the reasons I wanted to talk to you today, Kimberly, is you're a strong believer in the fact that small and actionable steps can help us sort of optimize our health and really take it to the next level, my friend. Because So many people are afraid of exercising because they think it has to be this big lifestyle adjustment. But you help the people you work with understand the importance of, small and actionable steps because those can also go a long way. Would you agree with that?
100%. I think people tend to overcomplicate things, whether it's out of lack of knowledge around it or maybe lack of wanting to make changes, whatever. It can be multiple things, but I always encourage people, if you're not doing anything, start with walking. Walking is something we should be able to do throughout our entire life. We can keep up with it, maybe when we're 80 or 90, we don't want to run, but guess what? We can walk. It is the small actionable things that really make a big impact with our health. When you get someone that's eating an unhealthy diet and you get them to start eating whole food, real food, it changes their health. Our cells are made up of what we eat. So, we get people to focus on their diet, exercise, sleep, stress management, hydration. They seem overly simplistic, but it's the building blocks for our health.
Yeah, absolutely. And Kimberly, I'm going to ask you a selfishly important question to me, my friend. I am a light sleeper who thinks who always has had not a fear of missing out, but difficulty sleeping. I've always been a light sleeper. So for anyone watching or listening to this, and for myself personally, how can we improve or value our sleep to make sure that we get a full night's rest? Because that's important, isn't it?
It's so important. I would say, right, so starting off in the morning, if you can get some sunlight exposure the first 2 hours that the sun is coming up, you get full spectrum light from those first couple of hours of sunlight. And that's important because it sets the cascade for our hormones for the day. It also tells our body when it needs to start making melatonin. So we start off with some natural sunlight, and then as the day progresses, right, movement throughout the day is important. When you exercise, you tend to get rid of that kind of excess energy that is meant to be used, but most of us have sedentary jobs where we're sitting. And then as we move later into the day, not sitting under real bright light in the evening, having red light or candles or firelight or just very dim lights that are kind of preparing our body for sleep. Not holding your phone real close to your face right before you go to bed, where you get this blue light that stimulates you and makes your body think it's daytime. These are just some little things we can do. And then once we get into the bedroom, making sure that it's cool, quiet, and very dark. Our eyes aren't the only places with light receptors. Our skin actually has light receptors. And so when there's light, it's stimulating to us. It's telling us it's not time to go to sleep. So those are some of the really simple starting strategies that people can do to help create a better night's sleep.
Yeah, absolutely. And not answering emails at midnight, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Trust me, I'm a recovering perfectionist, I promise, okay?
I'm glad you're recovering.
Well, it's a work in progress, but I'm getting better at it, okay? I promise.
It is for all of us.
Absolutely. Kimberly, I also wanted to ask you about minimizing fatigue and how it is interconnected to getting enough exercise. And, I'll use myself very quickly as an example. Kimberly, I was born with spastic quadriplegia cerebral palsy. So what that means is that I don't have enough oxygen in my legs to walk normally. So if I don't exercise, I lose my muscles faster than most people. So exercise is important to me. So Tell me why exercise and minimizing fatigue are so closely linked, my friend. What are your thoughts there?
So, a couple of things. One thing that I want to suggest to you, have you ever heard of blood flow restriction?
I have, yeah.
Okay. Okay. So awesome. It just popped into my head. Um, interestingly enough, people will say, I don't have the energy to exercise. Unfortunately, what happens is the less we use our body, the less energy we make. So to have energy, we have to use energy. If we are feeling fatigued and we go outside, get some sunlight, and maybe walk for 10 minutes, it'll perk us up better than probably a cup of coffee. Um, getting movement in your day and using energy, using our muscles sends a signal to our body that we need to make more energy. So, as counterintuitive as it may seem, exercising actually gives us energy.
And helps us sleep better. I know from
Yeah,
personal experience, when I exercise, I sleep better, right? And longer.
me too. Me too.
Because our bodies have to recover from exercise. There's benefits to exercise, isn't there?
Absolutely. It's you get daily movement and you everything works better.
Absolutely, my friend. So you also help your client to understand that they deserve to live the life they truly want. So what does living the life you truly deserve mean to you personally, my friend?
I would say to me personally, it means having having health, having vitality. I when you work with people that don't feel well, what you realize is you can want a lot of things, but if you're sick, you really just want to be healthy. And so living the life that you want, that you were intended to make, or that you were intended to lead, and having just a high quality of life. um I think that it comes back to those foundational things that we do day in and day out that set us up for success and long-term health and just a high quality life.
Yeah, absolutely. And Kimberly, I'm also curious to ask you about what aspects of your personal life and experience really have indicated to you that this is your passion and purpose in life, my friend. What are your thoughts there?
um I would say my first job working in a nursing home had a very big impact on just what I wanted to do, how I wanted to help people. And it's something that's always in the back of my mind, particularly as I'm aging, like, ooh, I don't want to do that because I don't want my health to decline, or I don't want to, I recently had an ankle injury that kept me from doing some things for a while. And I was feeling so frustrated about it because my goal is to stay very active and move and be strong. And so, just a great reminder of the fact that moving, I mean, this has just been an intense reminder for me that moving makes our body feel amazing. And when you just sit around, it's like you start to feel yourself just you know you just don't feel the same. So the thing that I have taken away to tell me I'm on the right path is I love what I do. I look forward to it every single day. And if I can help change the quality of someone's life as they age, one person, I'm happy about that.
Movement also makes our mental health stronger. Would you agree with that?
So much more than I could ever tell someone. Absolutely. I think when I think about challenging times in my life, I'm like, oh my gosh, I don't know how I would have survived that without exercise.
Yeah, absolutely. And, to that point, I wanted to get your thoughts on a recent Harris poll that found that 93% of Americans believe living a long and healthy life is important to them, and 92% also say that they should do everything that they can do to optimize that opportunity. However, there's a gap between their desires and their actions because only 49% of people say they strongly agree that their behavior impacts their health. So I'm curious, what are your thoughts on those findings and how can we motivate people to really value longevity in life? What are your thoughts there?
That disparity, I don't know what's causing that. I mean, is it just not wanting to take responsibility? Is it overwhelm? Because, sometimes I've had people come see me that they're like, oh, I just feel like I'm so far gone. It's going to be so much work to get it back. I don't know. I'm not sure what's causing that. Um, it's it seems to be an interesting phenomenon that's particularly American, right? I'm not saying it doesn't impact other countries and other people, but in terms of being a first world country, our health here in the United States is across the board. Like if you look at Americans as a whole, really poor health. And we're a first world country. It shouldn't be that way. But I believe that people should take accountability for their health because I don't believe anyone else is responsible for our health. We are. And we can find people to work with us and help us and support us. But at the end of the day, I'm the only person that can control what I put in my mouth. I'm the only person that can control getting up and exercising, even if I don't feel like it. I'm the only person that can control what time I go to bed, right? All these things that really, truly matter, it's up to us as an individual to do those things. So I think, really being honest with people and saying, hey, you're accountable for this. If you want your life to get better, you have to make better choices.
Yeah, absolutely. And Kimberly, I'm also building on your last answer. I wanted to ask you how much of our personal health is making our own commitment to ourselves. Because, I always say that in life we make time for the things that we prioritize. So, what are your thoughts on the notion of our health depends on the commitment that we personally make to our personal well-being, and how important is it to invest in yourself, my friend?
It's probably one of the most important investments we'll ever make because if you don't have your health, you can't pour from an empty cup. You can't take care of your family or do the things you need, or your threshold and your capacity is so reduced when you're sick. And I personally believe in extreme ownership, like taking responsibility for ourselves and going, I care enough about myself that I'm going to make a commitment to my health. And that means, eating food that's healthy, even when I'm surrounded by junk food. It means going to bed at a reasonable time and getting enough rest, exercising even if I don't feel like it, right? And there are other exceptions to every rule. Of course there are, but it's what we do most of the time that impacts our health greatly, not what we do occasionally. So this isn't saying you can't ever have, a slice of pizza or a burger, but if that's what you live off, man, might not be the best idea to live off fast food.
Yeah, absolutely. And my friend, I've visited Austin now a couple of times, and I know it's one of the barbecue capitals of America, and there's a lot of great food in Austin, and I know that's where you live. So, how do you find myself, really valuing the idea of moderation and portion sizes. And what's the greatest part about living in Austin from a food perspective, my friend?
Well, there's certainly lots of great restaurants and lots of good food. I always encourage people to eat their protein first. Protein is vital for maintaining muscle mass. We need amino acid reserves to heal and repair. It keeps our blood sugar more stable. So if you can get people to, have certain, for lack of a better word, rules that they follow. Maybe you love mashed potatoes, but they have a big impact on your blood sugar that just isn't great. Well, eat your protein first and then see what happens if you eat some potatoes. There's little things you can put in place to help yourself and still enjoy things that you love in moderation.
Yeah, and I know, my friend, that you have a 12-week program where you go through all of the wonderful things you help people with. So tell me about your 12-week program and how it works, my friend.
Yeah, so I think you're referring to, I have a longevity protocol that's 12 months.
That's right, yeah.
It's basically we work with you and look at kind of what your body needs the most, and then we find the best possible way to pulse those peptide bioregulators throughout the year to help decrease your biological age, right? We can't change our chronological age, but we can do things that are incredibly regenerative to our body and decrease our biological age.
Yeah, absolutely. And my friend, I'm also curious to ask you, Kimberly, about the conversations you have with people when they first want to work with you, and sort of the conversations you have to see if they're a good fit. Because we're coming up on the end of the year, and a lot of people make New Year's resolutions to lose weight or get in better health, but
Mm-hmm.
they tend to fall off the curve once things get going in the year. So I'm curious, what sort of conversations do you have with people before you work with them, and why do most people agree to work with you, my friend?
The conversations that I have with people are around accountability, right? Making sure they understand I don't have control of their health. They do. So, making sure they have reasonable expectations. And I think people work with me because I care about them and I want to help them, but I'm also honest about where they are. And I work hard to empower them with, hey, you can take responsibility for your health. And that's a great thing, not a bad thing. um, and I think people like feeling empowered. It's a good thing.
Yeah, absolutely. And before I came down to record this, Kimberly, I realized that. So I'm 35, right, and I'm a month away from my birthday, and I'm getting better at embracing the aging process. I told a friend of mine the other day that I'm holding on to the title of a veteran young guy for as long as I can. Okay, but I'm curious in terms of life fulfillment and your health. How do you think those two things are interconnected?
Well, I think this goes back to if you're sick, can you feel fulfilled? Yes. Is it more challenging from what I've seen? Yeah, because when you don't feel well, you just have such a reduced capacity, and it's like the only thing you're thinking about is how can I get well? How can I feel better? Um, so yeah, I think, fulfillment comes from a number of different things, but I certainly believe that our health impacts that.
Yeah, and to that point, I'm also curious to ask you about personal fulfillment and self reflection because I'm a big believer in self reflection and reflecting on the things that happen to us in life. And Kimberly, for me personally, I was born 3 months premature. I was told at the age of 9 that I wouldn't be able to walk, and for the rest of my life because of the severity of my cerebral palsy. And one of the turning points in my life was when I started my fourth grade year of elementary school, and I was called out of the principal's office, and my middle school principal looked at me and she said, "The only limitations on your life are the artificial ones that you place on yourself personally." And ever since then, I've lived my life to the saying that everyone's portrait of success is different. So I'm curious, how do you paint your own portrait of success, my friend? What does success look like to you?
Um, Success to me looks like having, my family is everything to me. Having my family around me and having a close relationship with them is super, super important. And then, outside of like myself, like I can definitely say working with people that I impact their health in a positive way is super meaningful to me. I have been through a period in my life where I did not feel well at all, and all I could think about was getting better. So I know what it feels like to not feel well, and I also know what it feels like to feel great. And I want to I want to empower people to take control of their health and put the effort in because it is so worthwhile
Mm-hmm.
having vitality and energy and being able to enjoy this really beautiful gift we get called life.
Yeah, my friend, I believe that life is our victory lap, and our level of success is dependent on how hard we're willing to work for it, right?
Yes, I
Uh,
totally agree.
Absolutely. And my friend, I'm also curious to ask you about giving yourself grace from a health perspective because, a lot of people go on healthcare journeys, and I think one of the worst things they can do is compare themselves to others. Now, I'm not saying that motivation isn't important when you go on this healthcare journey, but what I am saying is that every person's healthcare journey or health and wellness journey is different. So tell me about the importance of giving yourself grace from a healthcare perspective.
So one of my favorite things to say to people is progress, not perfection. Because I feel like people get lost and fall off the wagon when they're looking for perfection. And you'll hear someone go, "Oh my gosh, it's Wednesday. I totally trashed my diet. I'll start on Monday." And I'm like, "No, start right now. It's okay. Just leave the past in the past and move forward." I think it's having grace for, if you go through a stressful period and you don't have the bandwidth to cook every meal or whatever that looks like. I think just giving yourself some grace and knowing that so many of the things we go through in life are just a season. They're not permanent. And you do the best you can with what you have at the time and keep on trucking.
Yeah, absolutely. And one of the ways you do that is helping people understand the value of nutrition and what they put in their bodies. So tell me, well, why is that so important? Because there's a important correlation between the two, isn't it?
Absolutely. I mean, when you think about it like this, I feel like this is impactful. Every cell in our body is made up of what we put in our mouth, period. right? So when we think about it from that perspective, it's kind of like, oh, wow.
Yeah, well, that's certainly a direct and honest way to think about it. Absolutely, my friend. And I'm curious to end on a two-part question, my friend. And I'm always, uh, always wanting to bring a little joy into people's life because, Kimberly, one of the reasons I wanted to start this podcast is I looked at the world and I told myself that there had to be more that brings us together instead of constantly looking to separate us, my friend. So, in your judgment, how do you think we can create more bridges of unity and understanding? Because, especially in America, I think we've lost our ability to compromise, and really have conversations with people that move the needle of progress forward. So, in your opinion, how do we create more bridges of unity and continue to move the needle of progress forward?
Honestly, I think it's way simpler than people think or act like it is. We are all human and we're all just doing our best to manage our lives and to manage things that sometimes feel like they get thrown at us or situations that are challenging. And I think if we can have the grace for other people that we hope they'll have for us if we're going through something tough, not being so quick to honk the horn if somebody doesn't immediately move at the stoplight, or just being a little more patient, being a little more kind. I think it goes a long way.
Yeah, empathy goes a long way, doesn't it?
It sure does. It sure does. We're all human.
Absolutely. And my final question for you has to do with legacy and the perspective of life. As I told you, one of my beliefs is that life is our victory lap, and we run the race of life as best we can for as long as we can. And one of the greatest things about life, my friend, is that it's not a forever certainty, which in my view increases the urgency for impact, my friend, and
Yeah.
influence. So I'm curious, if I was to throw you a lifetime achievement party and I were to ask your best friend or your closest family member to give a toast about your life and your legacy, what would you want or expect them to say, my friend?
Um, that I care a great deal about other people. I think Maya Angelou had a saying, people forget the things we say, they forget the things we do, but they never forget how we make them feel. And I think if we can leave people with that feeling, if I can leave people with that feeling like I truly care about them and I want the best for them, then I've achieved something that's important to me.
Absolutely, my friend. And finally, tell me if people want to get connected with all of the great work that you do to help them live longer, my friend. What's the best way they can do that?
I'd say the best way to get in touch with me is just through my website. You can book an appointment. You can read more about what I do. You can book a little discovery call if you have questions. I'm always happy to talk to people and answer their questions. I'm also very active on Instagram. My handle is Kimberly Verbeke Wellness. But my website's probably the easiest way to get in touch with me, and that is avita-wellness.com.
Well, Kimberly, I have to tell you, you certainly brought your Texas hospitality and grace to this conversation, and I want to thank you for the good work that you do to help make Americans healthier, my friend. Thanks for engaging in conversation and for being here this afternoon. It's most appreciated.
Thanks for having me, Kevin. I enjoyed it.